They
No
won.
question. No, we all said that. No question.
Yeah, they should have gotten rid of that clown, that career bureaucrat. And just so here the whole country, gets interned. We have the economy's crushed. I mean, the long-term psychological and social damage that's been done because of this. And then again, he's the law and order president, yet over the span of months, beginning at the end of May, you had anything but law and order. You had utter lawlessness and criminality that was being excused and condoned, and then the election. So it's Trump supporters, have good reason, I think, to feel demoralized, to feel dispirited by all of that.
And I think that's exactly correct, because Trump is the first one who told them what was wrong with their country.
Exactly. Right.
And he was dead on it. And we saw him, in some senses, fall victim to the danger of listening to anybody who claims to be an expert.
Right.
And
look, the guy had Bolton. He actually had Bolton working for him for a while. I mean, here Trump, I thought one of the things that really distinguished Trump from the rest of the GOP candidates during the primaries back in 2016 is that he unequivocally repudiated Bush republicanism.
Yes.
He called George W. Bush out. He called out the travesty in Iraq. And I thought that was exactly what needed to be done. I remember back before Trump even came onto the scene, I was telling friends of mine, I said, if any Republican wants to take back the White House, the Republicans have got to staunchly distance themselves from George W. Bush and, the Bush Republicans of those years. And Trump did.
Distance themselves from war.
Right.
What we saw in the past 6 weeks since the election is the reaffirmation of the war party, which is the two parties together.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Exactly right. And it gets almost incredulous that they think that the Republicans think that they can just go back to business as usual.
That's what they're looking for, Jack. But it's not going to happen. No more.
There's no way. I mean, there's no way you're going to put that toothpaste back in that tube. That's just not going to happen. And especially now, I think, people who ordinarily vote Republican are even more disenchanted with the Republicans because they see how they bailed on Trump. So it's like they're just I just don't see how that could ever happen. I really don't.
Just to give you an idea, you're looking at the pictures of Washington, D.C., and the press is showing you every day what they have to do. These are the people now who have walled themselves in behind barbed wire fencing, which looks just like Antifa in Portland. Now they want to be they're scared to death. They're scared to death of what can happen. But, it was their people who created the havoc. And you know what? Even if there was a couple of Trump MAGAs who cracked some windows, like Dr. Mike said before, these people were under stress for 8 months.
That's right.
They lost their jobs. They lost their houses. They lost their cars. They lost their minds. They lost their families. There were suicides, more drug addicts, more people on drugs.
Right.
And then they want to say that the MAGA people are crazy. You locked the United States down. You locked the American people down for 8 months. And you were getting paid full-time pay with your staff by being what I call a Zoom Congress. They were on Zoom getting paid. Okay.
Right, the Zoomers.
Yes. And then they come in. It's a Zoom Congress. And then they come in. And I'll repeat what I said on a previous podcast. The first order of business, what was it? Do you remember, Jack? Let's negotiate a $780 billion defense bill. Not a stimulus bill, not a bailout, not a $600 bar of cheese. It was a $780 billion defense bill. The second order of business was, let's see. How many billions can we give away to foreign nations? 200 million to Burundi, 300 million to Sudan, 500 million, and half of the people on the list hate us anyway. So why are you giving 200 million? What does that have to do with our stimulus in our country? And then at the end of that one, they said, well, why don't we give them a $600 bar of cheese? Is that what you get for
Yes.
hanging out 8 months or 6 months with no money?
Yeah.
And then Trump
exactly.
says, well, I'll give you 2,000. Maybe we should make it 2,000. No, you should have made it 25,000. You should have looked at what people lost. You should have look. We were giving waitresses that were making $50 a week plus tips $600 a week during the bailout, which was ridiculous. $600 federal money and $300 unemployment. They were making more staying home than working in a hotel or being a waitress.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Nobody figured that out. Nobody figured that. We love fraud. We love waste. Okay. And we love just throwing money out. And this is why they were thinking about how many billions we're going to give to foreign nations. Imagine this. We're a bust out country, straight in, 26 trillion in debt. Anybody else would be bankrupt, right? We're a bankrupt country.
Right.
And we give full-time pay to what we call elected officials, and they get parachutes, golden parachutes after 30 years. I mean, there's no company that gives you a retirement when they're bankrupt, right? And then they go and collect another couple of million lobbying. So, no, I think what we're looking for the future is very dark for the Republican Party. It's not going to be any brighter for the Democrats either. See, because they ripped off Bernie again. Bernie took the money, and he put the hand out. He was like the French cop in Casablanca. That was Bernie. He took the money and, he says, here's your earnings. Thank you, sir. And they said, Bernie, just move aside. He got another 10 million, 2 houses. He's not even talking about the progressive agenda. AOC got bought off. Everybody got bought off. So they have a problem with their progressives. They have a problem. And remember, Joe Biden to progressives is like a neocon.
Oh, yes.
He was a neocon his whole life. There isn't a war he opposed.
Oh, absolutely.
When he was in the Senate, he was a warrior first class. Of course, he's a little nymph, that little.
He's also Dr. Mike, an Israeli firster.
Of course he is. Of course he is. They all are subservient to China, to the Israelis, at least American Israelis. But so you always make a good point, Colonel, on that one, is that you can't really blame the Chinese or the Italian or the Israelis rather for taking advantage and suborning our congressmen. It's the real problem in Israeli control of foreign policy and China's economic and political influence in this country is the thieves we send to Congress, because they can't thieve enough money from us, so they go looking abroad for money and they find it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no, I don't think the future is looking too bright for either party right now. But the Republicans, particularly, something though, I'm saying that, and I'm telling people who I talk to, again, there's only, I can barely control myself, so I don't have no illusions I'm going to be controlling others, but I do try to tell people, shut off Fox News.
You're right.
Right?
Right.
Cut them out completely. They've already hemorrhaged viewers. I mean, I think they've lost over half their audience, since November.
I think I read that too, sir.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. And they just last week, one of their former contributors, actually he had a show on there, Eric Bowling. You remember hearing him?
Yeah, yes. I remember Eric. I know Eric. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Bowling had. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I deleted my Twitter account. I deleted my Facebook account.
Good for you.
Yeah, I deleted them both. Again, I also just want to get some peace of mind. But a friend of mine sent me a screenshot. Apparently, Eric Bowling had tweeted out that the ratings were in for Fox that week, and Fox in all time slots, Fox came in third place behind CNN and MSNBC. That never happened up until now, right? So I'm telling people, shut them off, because what are they, and talk radio too, what are they doing? They're still, even though now also, the Georgia election, I think it's probably pretty obvious was stolen. Mm-hmm. But they're still talking as if, well, we just need to, we need to primary, the quote unquote rhinos and get some decent folks in there. And then, again, what's the solution? The solution is vote Republican. I'm like, my God. I mean, people did that in greater numbers than at any other time in the past in November, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Well, look what happened in Georgia, Jack. Look what happened in Georgia. The people in Georgia were so tired and sick. I couldn't believe it. I was making jokes about it. I said, we need Sherman to come back and put him into the international water zone. Forget throwing him into the sea. I mean, Georgia was like, I don't think I want to vote again. I don't know if my vote counts. Hey, this is for the country. It's not just for Georgia, you know? And these people are so sad and sickened. And I don't know, should we go for Loeffler or Waffler? Should we go for this one or that one? Hey, give it your best shot, man. Why just throw it to them, right? Which is what they wound up doing. They gave it to the other guys, and that was another scam job, Hammer scorecard. We did the shows on that about, you know, the machines, the electronic machines in China and all these other countries involved with it. But, you know, I know where you're coming from, and I understand it. As far as TV, look, they're finished. Fox News is finished. It's OAN. It's NTD.
They got competitors now. That's right.
Yeah, and the mainstream right-wing conservative shows. Look, I'm going to tell you something. We're on the Freedom First Network. Now I'm going to give a shout-out to these two guys, JD and Jeff Dornick. They started this platform. They have Freedom First Network. We've only been on a couple of months, Dr. Mike and I. We used to do radio. We worked in the coal mines of radio for 10 years, okay. In Virginia. And there's a lot of good shows up there. There's a lot of other podcasts on the network. But we are doing extremely, extremely well. I mean, we hit, 1 week we hit, Jack, 35 on Apple Podcasts. We were one below Mark Levin. Wow. And we were 6 or 7 slots above Glenn Beck in 3 categories, not one, 3 categories. And we were one under the Washington Post. So, I mean, this is a podcast. We are just two guys having a conversation. Dr. Mike has been writing a blog forever, okay?
Yeah, I've read it. Yeah.
We try to bring quality guests to the listener. We try to break some news. And this just shows you that terrestrial radio may be off pretty soon. These $10 million Sean Hannity paychecks are over. You know, we're looking for a couple of sponsors. What they do on our network is they sell organic roasted coffee. It's called Freedom First Coffee, and that's how they make a living to pay for the bills. And we're looking for more people. But they have 2 great websites up, Conservative Playlist. I'll give them a shout out. They have the NOC Report, NOQ Report, where our podcast goes up right away when they put it up. So, look, these guys are only in action 6 or 7 months, Mike. Is that right? 6 or 7 months?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And we've gotten in the last couple of months almost 2,000 subscribers to 2 Mike.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. But, I mean, so when you talk about radio and TV, and we're just 2 guys right out in the Beltway, you know what I mean? In fact, I'm a little bit west of the Beltway in the Shenandoah Valley. I like America. I go to the Beltway, and then I come back to America once in a while. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We've done so well that last week we each got a Dunkin' Donuts coffee instead of just 7-Eleven.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
Yeah, the money's
looking good. But yet, you know, but you're making a good point, and this is just a fact that, you know, this is not 1988. You know, when Rush Limbaugh first launched his nationally syndicated show. This is not, you know, the 90s, the Clinton era. You know, it's not even 10 years ago. You have just numerous alternatives now.
Oh, absolutely. And how you could tell it's going to happen. I'll tell you what. I think Michael Savage is a very savvy, smart businessman. And he left radio and he's just doing podcasts. And I said to Dr. Mike last week, I said, Mike, we're really smart. We jumped to podcast before Savage.
Yeah. Oh, and so did Savage just jump the podcast recently?
Oh, as of January 1st, he went podcast only, no more radio. He's not going to put up with the BS about what you could say, what you can't say, you know, having the corporate guys come down your neck. You know what I mean? And we have free reign. Yeah. We have free reign on the network here.
On the broadcast side of things, I think that you lose nothing from losing Fox News.
No,
that's nothing. The thing I worry about is more than a year ago now, I really listened to very little on Fox except for Fox Business. I think Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, and Stu Varney are 3 solid small C conservatives. They're not con men like Hannity and Tucker and the rest of them over on the news channel. But that's very good quality stuff. If they could just can Cavuto, that would